We're going to talk about hand care for lifters. If you're lifting, you're probably using chalk. Hopefully you're using chalk. And it's also wintertime right now. So those two things can combine for some dry hands. If you're anything like me, you've probably got some dry hands right about now. The backs of my hands, I'm usually kind of predisposed to dry skin anyway. The back of my hand usually looks like it belongs to like a 120-year-old man, or it's like triceratops skin. And you've probably got some calluses on your skin. You've got to take care of those calluses. So we're going to talk about that today. And it really comes down to four things. So let's get started. Thing number one, and this may seem counterintuitive since we're talking about dry hands here, but make sure that you're using chalk when you're lifting. Chalk is useful for all of the lifts, but it's especially useful for all of your pulling movements. So your deadlifts, your snatches, your cleans, your rows, your pull-ups, your chin-ups, whatever. Make sure that you're using chalk because it helps with it helps to have a secure grip. And if you don't have a secure grip, you've got sweaty hands, oily hands, even if you don't think you do, then that bar, even that minuscule movement of the bar in your hand that you might not even feel, that encourages larger callus formation. You want some callus, but you don't want huge, kind of bulbous calluses. It encourages, not having chalk on your hands makes it more likely that you're going to develop blisters. So make sure that you're using chalk when you're lifting. Some of you may say, well, I just use gloves when I'm lifting. Okay. If you're using gloves when you're lifting, there are so many other videos that you need to watch first. Suffice to say, don't use gloves while you're lifting. Thing number two, wash your hands after you're done lifting. Remember, you've got chalk on your hands, and chalk is great for lifting. It absorbs the natural oils and natural moisture of your skin, but once you're done, you want to wash all of that chalk off of your hands so that you're not encouraging any extra, drying out of your skin. Thing number three, take care of your calluses. We want calluses. They're useful. They protect the skin, but they shouldn't be huge. That just gives the bar a chance to pull on them and eventually, potentially, tear them open. So take care of your calluses. You've got a couple options. You can use a pumice stone. You can use, I think this is just called a callus remover. It's got a metal side, kind of looks like a cheese grater. Do not use this on cheese. It's got the other side, basically a file, so that can be useful, and you can just kind of rub off your calluses that way or kind of buff them off. My preference actually is to use sandpaper. Doesn't usually matter too much the grit of the sandpaper. I don't usually pay a whole lot of attention to it. I think this is 150 grit, but usually just cut yourself a small piece, and you can take the sandpaper and just kind of put your index finger right there, and you can rub your callus. You're filing it down, you're sanding it down. You kind of see what I'm doing. I don't know if you can see this on camera. If you can, it's kind of gross because you're just seeing dead skin just kind of fall off. But you apply the sandpaper and you rub your calluses down. You're going to get some callus formation all the way along kind of this ridge right here, but you're usually especially going to get callus formation down on the ring finger and the pinky finger, so you may find that you have to spend a little bit of extra time there. That's usually where I have to spend the most time. One of the reasons why I like using sandpaper as opposed to a callus remover is that you can kind of get into the grooves of your fingers just a little bit. It's just easier to get into kind of the nooks and crannies of your hand, as it were. And this isn't really going to take very long. It's probably going to take maybe a minute or two. I don't really take good care of my hands, and it's still not going to take me very long. So to recap, thing number one, use chalk. Thing number two, wash your hands when you're done lifting. Thing number three, take care of your calluses, manage your calluses. And thing number four, use a moisturizer. Now, I'd recommend you can use regular kind of like white creamy lotion. You can do that. What I would typically recommend though is that you use something that's usually kind of a little bit more of a yellow, kind of almost like a waxy color. My favorite, we get no endorsements for doing this, is Bag Balm. It was originally designed for cow udders, so it's utterly wonderful. But you can see it's kind of got this yellow color inside. If it looks like someone kind of snotted directly into a container, it's probably going to be pretty useful. You don't need much of this stuff. If you use very much, you're going to have a hard time hanging on to anything for about the next 10 minutes. So you just take a little bit, And you're usually gonna, and this is actually probably too much, but we're gonna use it anyway. You usually just apply it to where you need it the most. So you might apply it along kind of the ridge of your calluses. For me, usually the back side of my hands, this is not really lifting related, but just the fact that it's winter. Usually the back side of my hands needs it the most, so that's where I'll apply it, but it doesn't really matter because it's gonna get smeared all over anyway. So you kind of apply it, you know, wherever you need it, and then you're just gonna rub it in. And this stuff is amazing. For some reason, for me, it just kind of reminds me of my grandparents' farm. It just smells like work. Smells like America. So you know it's good. And you rub this all in. And there's other brands out there, like I said, Balm is just one that I'm a fan of. And you really want to rub it in. And you apply this about once a day and you're probably good. Those of you who have really dry hands like I do, you may have to apply it more than once. But this stuff lasts way longer. Materials like this last way longer than just, you know, kind of your regular white lotion. So take care of your hands, and ideally this video will help you do exactly that. We hope this was useful, and if it was, please let us know. Hit the subscribe button or leave us a comment below or give us a thumbs up. We will see you next time, and as always, we hope this helps you get stronger and live better.